So who ruined Thanksgiving this year? 1. My cousin's new girlfriend who brought her own Tupperware to my family's house and proceeded to, unasked, scrape most of the leftovers into her containers. You could have heard a pin drop. I think my uncle almost launched across the kitchen. It was priceless and will go down in family TG history. 2. Not sure who, but we were walking our dogs when the police pulled up down the street and started yelling, "Get down! Get down!" We saw a dude spill out of a house followed by about 10 family members, all of them just screaming at him. Cops were arresting him, and some of the family started trying to kick the shit out of the dude. So they got arrested too. By the time it was done, there were about 5 or 6 police cars and about as many family members in cuffs. 3. Mother-in-law. It's been dicey for 18 months when I snapped at her for giving me grief about trying to rein in my 6-year-old son who was wreaking havoc on a vacation home because he was excited. Kids needed milk refill. Went to the basement to grab a milk with my FIL, and while we were down there, he wanted to show me the supports for the insulation bats, when after all of 90 seconds my L yelled down, "Thanks for bringing up the milk." Then said, "Maybe not loud enough for my FIL, but certainly loud enough for my music teacher's ears, bunch of jackasses." I said to my wife we're leaving tomorrow for home. At least I am. And that she was welcome to explain the situation as best as she saw fit, being as my way of doing it wouldn't be nearly as nice as hers. And I didn't intend to spend my Thanksgiving night being referred to as a bunch of jackasses, and that my comment 18 months ago about my wife and her dad being nose blind to the insults was more apt than ever, and that I may have been out of line when I lose it last summer, but that history has proved that I wasn't wrong. She'll talk to her. I'm heading home tomorrow one way or another before blood is shed. 4. My mom. I got woken up at 7:15 by my mom screaming bloody murder because how dare I not be up yet? I was not told when to be up. She and my sister judge me when I throw on clothes because it's not work clothes, jeans and a plain shirt. They start barking orders and continue to scold me for not being up again, not given a time to be up. My orders? To take out the recycling in the pouring rain. Definitely needed to be done right that second. My only saving grace was my dad rightfully chewing them out. I told them if they yelled again I was taking my shit and going back to my apartment. They do this every single year. I fucking hate Thanksgiving. 5. My alcoholic brother-in-law, who has been MIA for the last year or so, living on the streets in Europe, decides he wants to come back to America. Hops on a plane, lands in Boston this afternoon, and gets arrested at customs for an outstanding warrant for violating his parole. Needless to say, my wife was a little preoccupied today. Another holiday ruined because of her fucked up family. Families are the best. 6. Well, my dad died unexpectedly yesterday afternoon, which put a bit of a damper on today. I can't really fault him though. It wasn't like he planned it. Or if he did a really good job of covering his tracks. 7. My uncle emailed me telling me I'm invited to this year's, but that, in more subtle terms than I'm writing, he'll continue to call me fat at Thanksgiving. I'm not fat at all. But my family has gained weight because of autoimmune diseases, because that's just my mannerisms. You'll have to decide if you're okay with this. I haven't been to Thanksgiving in years, and told him I barely know him and I travel to Europe and Vermont on holidays now. In actuality, we did Thanksgiving in our hometown with my future in-laws LOL. Dumb fucks, the whole lot of them. Glad to have peace in my life. 8. My favorite uncle was diagnosed yesterday with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. We all love him. His family still came by to see us all. It only brought us closer together, but damn are we fucking sad. 9. Fighting with my mother over getting her stupidly large dinner done. Basically, she is saying she wants to do it herself. Meanwhile, she has a consistent history of complaining no one helps her get things done. So you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. 10. Dad tried to hit my mom the night before and ended up punching a hole in the wall of the new house. We were supposed to host dinner for everybody, but obviously, we canceled it. 11. My wife's affair partner. In the process of divorcing, wife and her family have always gone to the desert for Thanksgiving, and we went to the desert one last time as a family. Well, she invited her affair partner to Thanksgiving dinner. 12. Me and my sadness. Separated from my husband 2 weeks ago. It was so sudden, and this is the first time I do this holiday without him. Together for almost 9 years, living with my mom for a bit until I decide what to do next, but she's not very sensitive to the stress and sadness I'm feeling, so I'm on edge. 13. I didn't want to do something 2 days beforehand, and this translated into the turkey being fried an hour late and everything else being done. I am a piece of garbage, but that turkey was fire AF. The ham I made stole the show, too. But I am still the worst according to mother and wife. Now, for my next trick, I will ruin Christmas by getting my nephews cool stuff that their parents hate. 14. Eek. Me. While making coffee and getting the day started, I briefly lost consciousness, fell backwards hitting my head on a wooden chair, flinging coffee grounds all over myself and the room. Scared the crap out of my mom and ended up not being able to help her with dinner. Our Thanksgiving is just us and my uncle, so it is pretty chill anyhow. Dinner came out delicious. Uncle came and went, and I ended the evening slowly packing up leftovers and resetting the kitchen. But it was definitely a blow and made the day pretty stressful. 15. Me. I usually host both my family and my husband's family and his extended family. I canceled after the election because my husband's cousins decided to celebrate all over social media that their Lord and Savior Donald Trump won, complete with depictions of Jesus holding Trump. I lost my shit, called them racist, bigoted, and misogynistic, and my husband and I decided to cut them off. I was called sick in the head and told that I need mental help for ruining my husband's family. I hope you choke on the turkey that you have to cook yourself this year, Dorinda. 16. My mom calling to scream obscenities at me and call me horrible names. Because my dad is invited to Thanksgiving at my house. They're divorced. We were planning on going there for a family Thanksgiving on Saturday, so she'd get her time too. 17. My mother's recovering from surgery this year and did not want to host or leave her house. I was going to make sure she got a turkey dinner, but before I made plans, she told me that my brother, who is an enthusiastic amateur chef and has extensive experience, said he was going to have dinner from his house brought over for her to have. So I changed my plan. He didn't invite me to his place, so the day before Thanksgiving I asked Mom what her plans were so that I could stop in at a good time. She said she didn't know when her dinner was coming, so I offered to come over around noon and I could cook something for her. Not a traditional Thanksgiving meal, but something good. So, I did, and we had a good time, but no word about her dinner came. Finally, mid-evening he called her and said he'd stop by Friday to bring leftovers. Thank goodness I at least got her fed and kept her company, otherwise it would have been utterly bleak. 18. Flew to a different state to have time with my boyfriend's dad and that side of his family for the first time ever in our 11 years long relationship. This morning, his stepmom complains of a headache and says she doesn't want to go to the Thanksgiving lunch at BF's aunt's house. Then BF's two little brothers claim they don't want to go either, and then BF's dad says he will also be staying home. So BF and I went to his aunt's house alone to have Thanksgiving with the rest of his family. Conveniently, when we got back an hour ago, BF's stepmom is up ready to cook dinner for her sister to come over. 19. Shockingly, there was zero drama, no mention of politics, and everyone got along. The alcoholic aunt who just lost her husband was sober and sociable. The other aunt who meddles in everything just enjoyed being with the family. MAGA SIL/BIL said nothing about Trump. Grandpa and the kids all played lovely together. Not sure what type of parallel universe I stumbled into. 20. Me technically. Accidentally knocked a candle with glass around it off a shelf that I didn't see. Broke right before my 3-year-old nephew/brother and SIL walked in. Glass everywhere. Apologized but still sent my mom into a screaming fit at everyone. Somehow my other brother got blamed more than me. Everyone went home within 5 minutes. No one ate. Stuck in my room to avoid getting yelled at till I head back to far away where I live now on Saturday. Happens once every 3 years. Good times. 21. My brother, who hosted it for the first and hopefully last time. It was sort of a housewarming party since it was his first time having us all over since he bought his house. He refused to cook the turkey, so I volunteered. I live over an hour away, so I had to wake up super early to actually cook it. He had an attitude from the beginning on me being in his house ahead of time to actually cook the turkey, and doing anything in the kitchen was somehow asking for way too much. Used the sink and made it wet? How dare I? He asked everyone to keep the counters clean and to wash the dishes as soon as they were done. He didn't prep anything of his own and didn't have any dishes outside of the basic dishes for anyone else to prep their own dishes. Why even host if you expect everyone else to do the actual hosting? He alienated my nephew as well, who's a shy kid. Yelled at him for not eating enough. Just an all-around shit show. I melted butter in his microwave, and it went everywhere. I didn't clean that up. Well deserved. 22. I'm in a short-term adult foster home right now teaching myself how to live at age 55 in a wheelchair. The staff and owner told us all we were celebrating Thanksgiving with good food and dessert too. They put a tray in front of me with a saucer, not a plate but a saucer of rice, yes, plain rice on it, and Kool-Aid for my sweet dessert. I thought they were kidding. Nope. You have no idea how badly I want to throw this tray against the wall. Of course, I won't. I'm trying really hard, you guys, not to cry. I really am. I've been trying to figure out how to add a pic so you can see I'm not lying. To answer the question, friend's foster home number 2 ruined my Thanksgiving here in Beaverton, Oregon. 23. My mom did within 5 minutes of me walking in the door. She asked me to make the dinner this year because it's just gotten to be too much for her. I happily accepted, planned the meal, bought the food, prepped as much as I could beforehand. I arrived between 9 and 9:30 this morning to make myself a cup of coffee and make a quick breakfast before getting the turkey oiled herbed up before getting it in the oven. She offered me leftover blueberry pancakes that she had made for the rest of the family. I declined because I don't eat pancakes or waffles, plus I just wanted something light, which was the tortilla with cheese and 1 egg I was going to make for myself. I started getting a smallish pan out of the drawer that was the perfect size for 1 egg and tortilla. She got immediately bent out of shape that I wouldn't use the huge pan she already had used for the pancakes. I shouldn't dirty another pan, and said it's her kitchen, I'll follow her rules. I said I'll wash both pans, etc. She kept going on about her kitchen, her rules, so I said fine, you can make Thanksgiving dinner then. She got so mad she threw a blueberry pancake at me, staining my shirt with the blueberry. So, yeah, that's how my day started. And yes, I cooked the dinner because she went into the living room to pout. It definitely colored the rest of the day for me, and didn't help that my mom and dad were generally grouchy at one thing or another all day, mostly with the grandkids. I really don't want to do any more holidays with any of my family after this. 24. My BF. My golden birthday was the day before, and all he did was sleep and play video games. When we did an early Thanksgiving with my family, he said no longer than 5 hours. I agreed. We're at his family's Thanksgiving today, and I told him no longer than 5 hours to keep it fair between us. We're now going on 7 hours of being here, and he's wasted mixing another drink, and I don't drive so I can't go home, which obviously he knows. 25. The night before Thanksgiving this year, my 39-year-old brother and his gold-digging wife decided to throw a tantrum about my parents' wills and his portion of the inheritance. Thanksgiving sucked, and my mom kept crying because it's her favorite holiday, and she is hurt and angry at my brother. The drama has continued to get worse since then. 26. I did. Made candied yams and screwed it up. Dropped the gravy. Had to hand mash the potatoes, and they were lumpy. Turkey was fine. Was told not to add Worcestershire sauce to the green bean casserole as my family always does. Didn't add the wild rice to the stuffing line someone wanted. I didn't make scalloped corn. I am sure there used to be more. If I didn't make all that, no one would. I still do every year so everyone can eat. 27. My dad and his wife. He banned me from Thanksgiving for asking for a mask when we were voting, and then subsequently threatening to fight me for my asking due to him not taking his medicine. Then, his wife justified not inviting me over due to an argument we had years ago, regarding her calling her daughter fat in front of everyone and me calling her out for it. And the kicker is, on the day before Thanksgiving, my father uninvited my brother for some random reason. I also heard through the grapevine that they still cooked and everything too, so they just didn't want him there, I guess. 28. My SIL. We agreed that this would be a low-key dinner. My wife and I, my SIL, her BF, and my grandmother. An hour before dinner, she announced she invited her friend from work who had no one today. Then 5 minutes before we ate, she announced another friend was coming. For the two of them, this was their second dinner of the night. This isn't the first time she's done this, just the first time at Thanksgiving. Needless to say, I lost my temper and my SIL is acting like a victim. She's 36, by the way. 29. I discovered that my cousin started an OnlyFans at 18. Most of the family was fine with it, but things got a bit odd when her subscriber count suddenly jumped by 3 within an hour of the family finding out. 30. Oh, I have one. I think everyone is trying to come to terms with our son marrying a girl who fled an African country currently in civil war to a country he's been living in for close to a decade. She now has their family surname and will be coming to live here in our small town in the US when her visa comes through. I hear that everyone is kind of losing their shit. 31. My dad's girlfriend. She moved into my dad's house not too long ago and now tries to act as if she's also the head of the household, and when me and my sister come over she acts as if we're supposed to ask for things before taking them. Coke in the fridge, food in the pantry. My dad has always filled his fridge and pantry up and always tells us, grab you a drink, get a snack, so it just became a regular thing we've been doing for the past 20 years. Now that she's there, she acts as if we have rules that we have to go by, as in her rules. She's an all-day alcoholic, and today she managed to drop several plates with food, drop the pan that had the turkey in it fresh out of the oven, and even managed to make a smartass remark about me and my sister missing our mother and grandmother who have passed away around the same time 6 months ago, and about us talking about it being our first Thanksgiving without them. She ruined the Thanksgiving. 32. Me, apparently. We were watching a British movie and my father, who thinks anyone who doesn't speak with his exact accent doesn't speak English correctly, was mocking everything the actors said. I told him to please stop making fun of the way people talk. He threw a fit and stalked out of the room to go sulk in the basement for over an hour and a half, because I asked him to stop being a bigoted piece of shit and just let people exist. I'm horrible, I know. 33. I did. Silently, in my own head. For many years, ever since I was a kid, I always hear of everyone's families getting together for huge amazing dinners where everyone overindulges, and going on about Aunt Martha's famous pie and Grandma's top secret stuffing, 6 different desserts, and afterwards the whole family enjoying watching football, or games and fun afterwards and traditions. Then later on a fridge raid for turkey sandwiches. For us, it's just any other dinner. There's just the 8 of us. We have the usual stuff: turkey, stuffing, some sort of vegetable, and a pumpkin pie from the grocery store. Everyone shows up at 6 o'clock, eats, and then goes home. Don't get me wrong, I'm thankful to have a family and this great dinner and such. Sometimes though I wish I could experience what everyone else is always constantly bragging about when we go back to work on Monday. Christmas is pretty much the same. 34. My father. Typically the one who does. He's a drunk who can't recognize no one likes him, but no one has the heart to tell him he isn't invited because that's cruel to do on Thanksgiving even if he is the one no one likes. For reference, he is at the stage of drunkenness that his doctor had to tell my mom that he is apparently going through severe withdrawal every morning and needs to drink due to his blood pressure skyrocketing in the morning. The doctor said she told my father a couple of months prior to seek treatment and nothing changed. So in the last visit she asked my father if she could speak to my mom, which I'm assuming he didn't know why and said it was okay. The issue is that he doesn't want to quit and will instead hide it by lying to everyone. My mom refuses to pay money to have him get better because we've tried it at least 10 to 15 times in the past 10 years, and why pay for another attempt that won't work? In the 10 years of him hitting rock bottom, he has crashed his car because he had a seizure. Luckily, the police didn't test his blood alcohol content, but the hospital said it was twice the legal limit. He's drank at work before getting fired and never having a job since 2016. He has stolen from me, my sister, and my mom, and probably loads of other people. He has fallen and needed stitches and staples so many times that we don't even acknowledge that he has fallen because it's a common occurrence. In an effort to make sure he doesn't drink and drive, we've taken his car keys. He then found where they were hidden. We hid it again, and he walked 2 miles to the store to buy alcohol. I forgot to say he's disabled and can't walk. Him walking to the mailbox and back causes his legs to swell and is difficult for him. We then gave him his car keys back when he stole my mom's car in the middle of the night. Why does he ruin Thanksgiving? Because sad to say, he isn't a part of the family and nobody likes him. It's to the point it'd be like having a politician you truly do not like at your table. They don't do anything for you or care about you, and you feel angry about the choices they make affecting your life negatively. 35. Meredith. She's my wife's step-grandmother. My wife just gave birth to our second child 3 weeks ago. Meredith wouldn't stop talking about my wife's weight. You still look pregnant. You've got a fat ass. How many rolls are you gonna eat? And on and on. 36. My dad's Alzheimer's/dementia. I made a full meal for him, cooked and brought it to him. Put him to bed. 30 minutes after I left, he's calling me repeatedly, confused and crying. What is the point of having extended lifespans if at the end we are turned into a physical and/or mental vegetable? 37. I have 2 sisters. Nice ladies. No hate. We were at my parents' house. One sister is a single mom with 4 kids and wanted to take her kids to the 6 p.m. showing of Wicked. We ate at 2 p.m. She asked my other sister if her 8-year-old daughter could come along. She was trying to be nice. The other sister said she can't. They have to go to her husband's family and her daughter needs to visit her other grandparents. That's a valid reason. Plus, she was planning on taking her Saturday or Sunday to see Wicked anyway. Well, my 8-year-old niece threw a fit. She wanted to see it with her cousins. In particular, one of the cousins is a few months older than her, same grade and same school, and they are total besties. Lots of whining. Then one sister was all like, "Why did you have to ask me in front of her? Now I am the bad guy." Lots of stupid bickering. Not really ruined, just ugly noise. One sister left for the movies. The other sister left with her family for her in-laws. I stayed a little longer with my wife and kids, sat next to my dad, watched football until the Giants/Cowboys ended. And my father said, "Thank God they left. I was getting a headache from their stupid argument." 38. I did. My MIL kept kissing my 5-month-old all over the face, including her mouth, when my husband and I agreed we weren't going to allow that. I told my husband she was doing it and asked him to ask her to stop. He said he didn't see it, and he doubted she kissed baby on the mouth. I then waited for her to do it again, and I recorded her like a psycho paparazzi and texted the videos to my husband for proof. He said if I saw something I didn't like, instead of being a coward and a psycho and recording someone in secret, I should have said something to her directly. So I called her up on speakerphone and told her to stop kissing my baby on the mouth, which, of course, she denied. My husband thinks I was rude and still thinks I was wrong for secretly recording his mother, and I agree, but I don't give a fuck. Not one bit. I'd do it again. 39. My mom tried to dip my 6-week-old baby's pacifier in brown sugar and bacon grease to give to her, and when I panicked and took it from her, she basically said she'll do what she wants when she babysits her when I return to work. So I then said I'll just quit and get it figured out at some point, and now she's mad at me. My husband works and it would be tight, but I'm not going to risk my baby's health because my mom thinks she knows better. 40. My homophobic aunt said I was allowed, but my longtime girlfriend wasn't, so we and my parents didn't go. Instead of being honest with my entire family, my aunt told them we didn't come because we were too upset about my dog who passed last week. 41. Apparently me. I told my FIL, who I hardly ever see, as he lives in another city, that he's about to be a grandpa again. Not by me, by my husband, his son, who had an affair with the next-door neighbor and another woman. She's due in about 6 weeks. I gave him more than enough time to tell him. He blew up, stormed out, and left our daughter traumatized. She's been crying in her room since he left, but I'm the bad guy and ruined TG. 42. A lonely neighbor who was invited and now won't SDFU. I flew thousands of miles to spend time with my parents, and this guy is dominating conversation for 3 hours. 43. Left a toxic ex, so I was alone for Thanksgiving this year besides my animals. And so not a single damn thing ruined it for me this year. I woke up early and smoked a pork shoulder, made mashed potatoes to go with it, and had pumpkin pie for dessert. It was peaceful, and I'm grateful for that. 44. My extended family's gathering is on Saturday, and I guess we'll be the ones ruining it. We aren't going this year. We're the forgotten ones in the family. Yet if we dare miss a family gathering, we don't hear the end of it. Too bad. We're having a peaceful Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. As for today, everything went well. Since it's just 2 of us and we didn't feel like doing something big, we just had turkey tacos and Marie Callender's Dutch apple pie. 45. My uncle, 57 years old, never married, no kids, decided to take my 4-year-old son on a walk around the neighborhood without telling anyone, then went inside a neighbor's house. I'm currently staying at my mom's, so we don't know any neighbors. We started searching for them, unable to find them, and my wife and mom started panicking. When we found them, my uncle was dismissive of my wife's unbridled rage and told her to calm down and that she was being hysterical. I had to physically separate my wife and uncle because he started looming over her, 6 feet 2 inches uncle versus 5 feet 2 inches wife, to intimidate her before storming off. Needless to say, he is no longer welcome at any functions we are organizing, and we won't attend any he is. 46. Me. I tried to cook a 3-pound turkey and smoke came billowing out the stove 10 minutes later. Something plastic caught on fire, and I wasted the bird, and when I opened the stove a small cloud of soot/ash came out and rained all over my kitchen. I'm still cleaning my kitchen up and hungry. I just gave up. 47. Nobody ruined Thanksgiving this year, but in 2014, I ruined Thanksgiving by showing up high as fuck on Xanax, flipping a table, throwing a bowl of mashed potatoes at my uncle, not the literal bowl, just the potatoes, and calling him out for being a pedophile. He actually was a pedophile, and while I'm sure my obviously intoxicated shouting seemed unhinged, I absolutely stand by it 10 years later. Fuck that guy. IDGF if she's 15 and she's only your niece by marriage. You're a 60 years old man and her uncle, and that's predatory AF. 48. My 90-something-year-old grandmother loudly complaining how our half of the family won't let the asshole half celebrate Thanksgiving with us anymore, and then left early to go to their Thanksgiving right as dinner came out. I hope she ate something before she went. The terrible half of the family is notorious for not serving dinner until past grandma's bedtime. 49. Me. Got into a road rage incident, and the bastard rammed my car into the guardrail. Twice. Luckily I was out of the car, arguing with the guy at his window as he pulled over. Was supposed to go to the best place in Buffalo for the pies, cider, and cider donuts. Obviously, that's not happening anymore. 50. Boomer MIL didn't come because we didn't buy her a ticket to an event she was unsure of attending. We offered to buy her tickets for Christmas as a gift, but she declined. Then she got upset that we didn't get them for her. She decided to make it an issue before Thanksgiving and didn't come to dinner. She's a classic narcissist and wanted us to beg for her to come. We didn't. Side note, I'm proud my husband didn't break down and beg her to come. Progress has been made today, folks. 51. Technically, my wife. She wanted to go to her family first, then mine. Her family doesn't serve food till late, whereas my family serves at noon. I spent all day setting their table and watching their food be prepared to then go to my family's house and eat a cold dinner. You may ask why we didn't just eat at her family's house. We have a toddler daughter that everyone wants to see, but she has an early bedtime. So we had to go home pretty much right after eating at my family's house. 52. My brother-in-law's wife's stepdad, Randy, ruins every room just by being in it. He's an ultra-religious bigot narcissist who wears his politics on a t-shirt every holiday. I'm far enough removed from the family tree that I don't need to acknowledge him, but I see how much Bil's wife just kind of tolerates him. I hope my mom doesn't remarry after my dad eventually passes. I cannot deal with a Randy. 53. My great-aunt was in my house for approximately 5 minutes before she stormed out and left. I'm not even sure she ever put her coat down. I guess she started talking to my grandma about her upcoming colectomy, and I think my grandma might have said something along the lines of, "This isn't the place to talk about that." I'm honestly not sure. I didn't see the fight go down. I was alerted to the situation when my great-aunt stood up and announced to the room that she was getting a colectomy, and then she just left. My husband tried going after her, but apparently, she just kept telling him she was a good Christian woman and wouldn't be cursed at. LOL IDK man. They're 85 and 91. It was pretty wild. 54. My mom. She has no family left and lives in our guest bedroom for free, and she watches our 3-year-old. My in-laws paid for her suite as a way to get my husband and me to travel to his family's yearly Thanksgiving roundup. We got here, and she needed to exchange her suite with ours even though she had the larger one to sleep with our kid because she wanted a view and threw an entire scene. Then, she keeps hiding out in the room and coming down mist and saying she hasn't been able to nap even though our kid is with her cousins 70% of the day. Then she complained about the food and the love guitarist and tried to get our 3-year-old near the really realistic Grinch actor, which caused an entire meltdown. Now she wants to trade rooms again because she wants a balcony, which is not safe for the kiddo. And again, my in-laws paid for the hotel rooms. 55. Me. My whole family got a stomach bug this week. Everyone got it and got over it except me. Thought it missed me. Nope. While getting ready to head to my mother-in-law's, I just start to vomit uncontrollably. They ended up canceling the entire dinner because they didn't want us bringing the bug into the house. So my family ate leftovers in front of the TV, and I spent the evening huddled over a toilet. Memories. 56. My mother. My parents have been married for over 40 years, and apparently my mom reconnected with some old high school boyfriend of hers and basically split town and moved to the other side of the country to be with this guy. Already plans to marry him and pretty much destroyed her whole family and grandkids. Not sure I'll ever really talk to her again at this point, so that's what I have going on. Anyways, happy holidays. 57. My husband is having weight loss surgery on Monday. He was supposed to start a liquid diet on Saturday. They decided to ask him to start it 2 days early. In solidarity, I'm also having protein shakes with him on Thanksgiving Day, and I baked him a turkey breast and stuffing last night so that he could at least have a turkey dinner before he started the hardest part of the pre-op diet. He's been pretty miserable, but I'm 3 years post-op myself, and I know that he's going to feel amazing in a few months here, and it will have been worth it. 58. My family. They left for a week-long trip without me. My father told me I needed to stay home and watch the family dogs. He gave me multiple excuses as to why I couldn't go with them, all of which I gave acceptable rebuttals for. After the 4th excuse, I got the hint that I wasn't wanted and stopped talking. This is the 4th trip they've gone without me in the past 2 years. They are staying at a resort and having the time of their lives while I made a casserole for myself for Thanksgiving and keep the family dogs company. It feels like I'm being treated more like a dog than a daughter. 59. I wouldn't say ruined, but made it a bit awkward. Yesterday, Turkey Eve, Dad made a tire joke about me supporting a certain geriatric grifter that got elected recently, and apparently, I have less patience for that than I thought I did because I immediately set the record straight about what I hope happens to said grifter. Dad, who supports the grifter along with the rest of my family, was not happy. No fighting, no arguing. But instead of moving the couch so we could fix the floor, he told me to put stuff back and he'd do it himself. Then he immediately went to bed, like an hour early. I think we said maybe 2 things to each other all day today. It's an odd feeling knowing I hurt his feelings and not really caring. But at least I had enough sense not to escalate it by saying I hurt his feelings. 60. My grandfather picked up my 1-year-old as we arrived even though I just asked him to walk beside him. Kid started crying because he barely knows this man who never visits. Grandfather hands him to their next-door neighbor, who they bring along to holiday gatherings. Now he's really screaming. I suggest she put him down so he can walk. She does, and kisses him on the cheek. As I'm trying to get lipstick off my bawling toddler's face, my grandfather calls my son a crybaby. We also didn't get a goodbye. I want to put baby down for a nap, and they were just gone. We lost my grandmother in May, so I get it, but it's miserably different without her here. 61. Didn't really ruin it for me as much as I found it comical, but daughter-in-law's mom was mad at DL's younger sister because she didn't tell her about dinner. DL did call and tell, but because the younger sister didn't check that she had gotten the message, she was mad. She came to the house and dropped DL's younger siblings off and sat in the driveway in her car. To her credit, DL wasn't interested in her mom's little tantrum and let her sit outside. My little granddaughter sat looking out the window asking my son why her other grandma wouldn't come in and see her. 62. My upstairs neighbors. Instead of being able to cook dinner and relax, I spent half the day clearing heavy wet snow. Upstairs neighbors didn't touch a shovel and took off, leaving their noisy dogs alone in the apartment. The only evidence of them trying to lift a finger was the cheap plastic broom I almost tripped on because it was left randomly on the stairs and buried in snow. Apparently, instead of touching the shovel right by the stairs, they gave up and left. You've lived up here for at least a year. You know what winter is like. 63. My Thanksgiving is permanently ruined because my brother passed away on Thanksgiving 2 years ago. He hadn't been well for a few weeks, but refused to see a doctor. He was driving from his home in Philadelphia to our family home in New Jersey when he pulled over to have a nap in a parking lot and never woke up again. The autopsy revealed he died of cirrhosis of the liver. 64. My family did. We were supposed to go stay with my in-laws, but we all got sick. So I braved the grocery store yesterday and got what we needed for Thanksgiving at home. We all woke up this morning feeling much better. We had an absolutely lovely day, just the 4 of us. The food was fabulous. Everyone wore whatever the heck they wanted. Toddler got to nap in her own bed. We played Mario Party while we had leftovers for dinner. It was perfect. So we ruined it for extended family and absolutely made it amazing for ourselves. Oops. Maybe we'll be sick next year too. 65. My brother-in-law. He's been married to my sister for 24 years. We've been friends for 30 years. Back in January, he trashed me to my oldest son for an hour. I never knew he felt that way. I live 500 miles from any other family besides them. This was the first Thanksgiving that we hadn't celebrated with both of our families together. I'm waiting for an apology that will probably never come. He trashed a 30-year friendship, and I don't understand the motivation behind it. 66. Brother-in-law. He said yesterday he was going to go check himself in for treatment. He didn't. He came here while on the manic side of bipolar. So, MIL, FIL, 2 SILs. One with a behavioral problem 7-year-old and another with a 3-month-old, and a different BIL, with his wife and 4 kids, oldest 12, youngest 3, then the manic BIL. That's with me, wife, and my 2 teens. MBIL left high, a bit buzzed, and took about 90% of the leftovers. Plus, some other stuff he dug out of the fridge. They stopped him from taking some frozen stuff that didn't get cooked. He told my wife to shut up. Luckily, I wasn't in the room. He kept trying to hold my dog up to the newborn's face. He gave other BIL's kids food they aren't allowed, then got mad when we told him to stop. It wasn't even anything we bought for Thanksgiving. He was trying to carry on a loud phone conversation in the living room. He kept making stupid smartass remarks. Then he'd try to dismiss them with, "I was only joking." Wouldn't stop talking for 3 hours straight. All about stuff no one cared about. Kids' TV shows mainly. He's 30. He was getting in the way of people trying to take pictures with the kids. Plenty of other places to go. He wanted to squeeze between a couch and coffee table instead of going around or into a different part of the house. He then complained he didn't need 3 different people telling him to move. Wife and I both, in near unison, had to raise our voice and tell him to calm down. Try listening the first time. 67. Morbid. My grandpa. He raised me since I was 2. I held his hand while his heart stopped at 11:02 Wednesday night. Years ago my grandma fell and broke her wrist, didn't know, and made a full Thanksgiving dinner. Nothing stopped Thanksgiving. We ate Applebee's this Thanksgiving. R.I.P. A true legend, the champ. 68. Can I tell my saved it story? It was me. I saved it. My turkey fryer wouldn't stay on because the button kept popping up. I used a rock to keep the button down and the ignition/flame engaged/lit. My ex always fried the turkeys, and this was the first time I fried them. I had to troubleshoot a few things. but I got it done in the end and am really proud of myself. I also used a hot start for my deviled eggs, and the shells actually peeled off easily without looking mangled. If anyone has ever peeled the shells shard by tiny shard, you know how great a feeling this was. It was a great day cooking with my kids, even if we didn't eat until 10 p.m. We were happy. 69. The Chicago Bears. Other than that, it was pretty smooth. We cut the Republican side of the family out during the Obama years because my uncle wouldn't stop yammering about politics. I don't even want to imagine how unbearable they are now. 70. Thankfully, no one, yet, had a great Friendsgiving and even got along with a woman I had to block on Facebook a while back for only coming to my Facebook to start arguments. Even hugged her at the end. Having my own Thanksgiving meal late, soon. Only 4 of us. Should be chill. Fingers crossed. 71. This fat bastard in front of me in line at Golden Corral. Today was busy as usual and me and my parents were in line waiting to pay for our buffet. This guy was taking up a lot of space, including some of mine. He bumped into me and said to his wife, "If she's brushing up against me, she's too close." I had to have my stepdad hold me back. I wish I could have slapped his fat face off. Like, "Sir, you brushed up against me." He didn't ruin the day, but it was a black spot in what should have been a smooth sailing dinner line. 72. It was pretty cool here. The only downside is my daughter who just moved back and has to work today. Apparently, no one who goes to IHOP tips for shit on a good day, so I don't have high hopes of her coming home happy. But I saved her the turkey wings and she'll have a whole can of cranberry sauce, so I think it'll work out. 73. My dad unintentionally. He's 80 and in really decent health except for a small bowel obstruction that we fortunately caught early. Off to the ER at 5:30 a.m. Weird part was a few weeks ago, I decided to stay home and not accompany my husband to his family's out of state. I wanted to stay and celebrate with my dad and daughter in my daughter's first apartment. I just keep thinking, what if I had gone? Would have been 5 hours away and my daughter would have handled it, but it would have been way more stressful for all of us. 74. Every year I beg my husband to take me on a Thanksgiving cruise instead of dealing with angry family or drama. If it's not one family member, it's another. Whether I didn't have the decency to pick up and drive my mom, I didn't bother to make my mother's dishes, or I didn't make a dish homemade, or I showed up too late, or I leave too early, or someone is fighting with someone. I get so incredibly stressed out over Thanksgiving. I don't even enjoy it because of the stress and feeling like an asshole. Maybe next year. 75. My host. I brought 3 kinds of booze: boozy homemade nog, beer, and a handle of bourbon. He put the handle in his office, the nog in the fridge, and the beer in his garage fridge, then insisted I should drink LaCroix since nobody liked warm beer. Here I am back at home sober as a judge after eating a mid-meal. 76. One of my aunts and a cousin teaming up to go after the 2 gay cousins. They are convinced that the gays were sent by Satan to take their guns so that God's soldiers wouldn't be able to defend themselves. Mom's side is weird as shit. It ended with an 11-year-old learning some new words, plenty of alcohol, and the party ending up splitting into 3 groups that stayed as far away as possible from each other. Only reason I went was because I didn't want to miss what will likely be the last Thanksgiving of an older relative. 77. My mom had a heart attack and brain hemorrhage about 3 weeks ago. We don't even usually have Thanksgiving with them. We're usually with my wife's family, but it made it hard to enjoy the holiday knowing she's in a hospital 3 hours away, barely responsive. 78. My maternal grandmother wasn't even in the house for 5 minutes, and the first question she asks me is, "Well, is your dad still alive?" For context, estranged from my father for the past 10+ years and found out a few weeks ago he is has been in end-stage renal failure and no dialysis for the past 6 years, is missing a leg, and has almost died a few times due to declining health and long-standing uncontrolled diabetes. 79. My stepmother. She's upset because her children are taking over the holidays. The truth is, no one likes or can actually eat her cooking. She cooks with a lot of grease, and we all end up miserable afterwards. We've been kind enough to avoid telling her that, so she just thinks they're being mean and taking the holidays from her. We were trying to figure out when to get together for Christmas, and she refused to help agree on a day, because she wants Christmas on Christmas Day. Her children have already set a rule that they do not go anywhere on Christmas. They celebrate with their children and spouses. So now we're all just mean people who don't care about her happiness. It's the same argument every year. I call it the holiday that never ends. Divorced family holidays stop being fun once you become an adult. 80. My FIL. He had been having balance issues due to old nerve damage for many months, and Monday night fell down the stairs at their house. He was unconscious but still breathing at the hospital, so husband and I made the 8-hour drive to say goodbye, knowing that he was very vocal about not having any life-prolonging measures done in a situation like this. He passed early Wednesday morning. It was actually nice getting to spend Thanksgiving with his family. He's got many young nibblings while there are no little kids on my side. But obviously, there's something of a shadow over the holiday. 81. In residency and separated from all the people I love. I love what I do, but working 24 hours today while all my family is celebrating together, while I just have ungrateful patients who constantly complain when I've been emotionally drained, trying to help them the best I can because I love what I do and really do care. I hope it gets better someday. 82. Pneumonia. It's rampant in my area and my 6-year-old got it. She was admitted to the hospital late Monday night. She has been on oxygen ever since. We are all so over being at the hospital, and she literally cried to me this morning when she realized it was Thanksgiving and she couldn't be home. Not the best Thanksgiving, but she is slowly improving, and for that, I am beyond grateful. 83. My stepbrother. The plan was dinner was to be served at 4. I brought 2 sides that needed to be cooked in crock pots since I wasn't allowed to use the oven or stove. I timed them both to be ready at 4, the time I was told dinner would be. At 3, my stepbrother announces since the turkey was done we would be eating now. I told him I was told dinner was at 4. So my food isn't ready till then. Can we wait to eat? He says, no, I am ready to eat now. So we will eat what's ready, and then when your food is done, whoever wants to can eat that. So yeah, all my effort and cooking got wasted, and our actual meal was just turkey and mashed potatoes and creamed spinach since that was all that was done. 84. My husband. He's sick and I'm feeling a little under the weather, so we skipped the family gathering. He undercooked the turkey, and even though half of it was cooked, now I can't touch any of it. And because he's sick, I can't see my grandson this weekend. We had all the Christmas things planned. Decorate the tree, watch movies, and drink hot chocolate, make gingerbread houses. But now I'll just be listening to him cough and be annoyed. 85. Went to a great basketball game Wednesday night before the big day. Returned to our vehicle in the parking lot, and the front driver window was smashed in and the car ransacked for valuables. No, they didn't steal the 5-year-old pack of gum or the AAA advertisement from 2018. Called law enforcement to report the crime, and they told me to file a report online. Oh, sorry you asked who ruined Thanksgiving. My mom at the dinner table making cringy comments about flying first class and buying designer purses. The rest of us are trying to get by. I wanted to crawl under the table of embarrassment for myself and for her. Happy Thanksgiving all. 86. IDK me, I guess? I don't have anywhere to go for Thanksgiving, so I'm stuck on my college campus, and I had some shitty pre-made sesame chicken and passed out afterwards. First Thanksgiving alone. First Thanksgiving I haven't had turkey, and the first Thanksgiving I didn't watch the parade. Just completely alone and depressed. Being an adult is so much fun. 87. This idiot driver after leaving my parents after dinner. I get to the light. Car in front of me is this dude smoking a vape and not giving a shit, and looked back and never moved when the light turned green. I put the car in reverse and went around him. He didn't like that and he followed me and pulled next to me. My daughter on the passenger side scared and he kept looking at us, and I told her not to engage. He pulled in front and slammed on his brakes. Almost hit the guy. Next light, he did the same thing as the previous light. I go around him and he follows me to the freeway towards my home. He keeps doing the same thing, moving in front of me, hitting his brakes, pulling next to me, trying to ram my side. He is on a 4-door Civic. I am driving an SUV. My daughter is scared. He is driving with no headlights. I had to call 911 to get this guy off the road. Got home, go to the bathroom, and the first post I see is this. Hi Reddit, from the toilet. 88. I had a good one this year. My nutter, wacky, conspiracy theorist aunt-in-law crossed a line with my wife. Due to this, my wife let her know that we would spend this year's holiday season separately. It's been the best Thanksgiving in many years. I got to just eat, watch football, and nap. No awkward conversations, dodging sensitive subjects that would set her off, or long drives to from. I'm thinking about what I can do to perpetuate this. 89. I posted on Facebook asking if Starbucks was open, and everyone lost their shit in this small-ass town because if people didn't go to Starbucks on Thanksgiving Day, then they wouldn't have to work. It's unfortunate you didn't think of others. So that's the pathetic way I began my day. 90. The host and his dog. He got a huge turkey ready cooked. My family brought everything else, and we brought a lot. When we got there, he and the dog had eaten half the turkey that was bought today. Still, plenty for everyone to enjoy their fill and have leftovers. Dog raided the sliced turkey plate, ate enough for 4 people, and ate the scraps for the other dogs. And since the other dog didn't get any, dude takes the rest of the turkey. to give to the other dog, while the rest of us, people, hadn't even finished eating said turkey. Leftovers? No. I hope you're up all night cleaning up poodle barf, Steve. 91. Oh no, it was kind of me. I offered to make the gravy, which everyone already hated because I make it normal and they make it with potato water. I misunderstood the weirdo magnet stove and immediately burned the butter I threw in and set off the smoke alarm. Had to pour it out and restart. Asked my mother-in-law for flour. Couldn't figure out why the gravy was weird. Sister-in-law looks at the flour bag and goes, "Oh, you use self-rising flour for gravy?" No, I do not. Despite all of that, the gravy was delicious. Then my father-in-law told us we made too much food and my partner said, "But could you bone a turkey?" In response to suggestions of deboning a turkey for next year. Not terrible. At least it's over. 92. My wife's cousin who insisted on going on and on about my wife's grandmother's increasingly obvious dementia. This sent my wife into a spiral where she finally had a solid cry when we got home. The grandfather doesn't want to discuss it. My wife's uncle is the one that's more in tune with what's up. The cousin tends to exaggerate. My wife feels like she should be doing more. My wife's dad is pretty much a bum and doesn't seem to care. It's just a good old fat mess and I'm stuck comforting my wife. 93. Powerker. We're trying to pull together a Thanksgiving from where we are overseas, and the damn power went out. Electric oven. Lukewarm turkey. I'm currently lighting some coals to try to finish on the grill. 94. Lupus. My aunt was diagnosed earlier this year with lupus, and she ended up having liver and kidney deterioration. She was the rock in our family, my dad's bestie. We called her Aunt Mom as an affectionate joke, but she really was a fixture in our young lives after my folks split up. She truly was one of a kind. I am absolutely gutted. I have cried every day for the past 2 weeks. I can't imagine what my uncle and cousins are going through if I'm this devastated. On top of it, I picked to quit vaping, but it's been a bitch. My BF quit this week too, and we had a huge fight because we're nicotine fiends. I want a mulligan for the whole month. 95. Aunt Carol, 65 years old, came over high as a MFer. She poured water on the floor, thinking it was the sink. And on her way out, she mistook a bag of trash as her purse. Also, she brought a cake for dessert that we're confident was made at least a week ago. 96. I recently moved in with my younger brother, and he stayed up all night drinking and doing coke. I drank and did some coke too. I'm no angel, but he spent the entire time yelling insults at everyone, and otherwise being extremely loud and obnoxious. Then he tried to leave in his car, and of course, he wanted to drive. But instead of fighting with him in the middle of the road, I just opted to stay at my sister's. Less than 10 minutes later, he's in the passenger seat, so I would say we ended on a high note. Now I'm watching Jurassic Park waiting to succumb to my food coma, and he's calling anyone and everyone willing to keep the party going with him. 97. My damn father. I love him, but he refused to get therapy for his CPTSD, and because of it, he has a habit of screwing something up on birthdays and holidays. Though to be fair to him, I can honestly attribute more recent years to stupidity. 98. This is the last Thanksgiving that I will ever host. Ever. I started cooking yesterday and knocked out 2 pies, pre-made the sweet potato casserole and the stuffing. This morning, I realized that the grocery store failed to load my last bag of paid groceries into my cart, and I absolutely needed the ingredients for today's meal. Thankfully, they were still open until noon today. Store run, then continued to cook. Alone. My husband is home, but every holiday, he chooses to do housework, yard, remodeling, etc., while I cook this huge meal that only happens twice a year. My gravy turned out like crap since I stupidly went with a new and untried recipe. Thanks for nothing, Martha Stewart. So I had to improvise with a simple chicken gravy that also almost went a crap. Immersion blender to the rescue. One of my sons almost chose not to come over, and his excuse was his inability to take a proper shower due to a medical device. My oldest son planned on coming over, but wouldn't be able to make it until much too late while also bringing his dog. I really did not want to deal with a bad situation with his dog meeting my dogs. I am so done with this holiday. It is too stressful and really not worth it, IMO. 99. Sigh, me. I took the lid off the salt shaker to measure some out for the dish I was making, and set the lid back on the shaker without screwing it back on. My husband went to salt the mashed potatoes, and wham! Whole shaker full of salt spilled into potatoes, like a terrible practical joke. He managed to scoop most out, but potatoes were still quite salty. He undersalted the gravy, and with the other food, it was still good, but I'm still having trouble forgiving myself. 100. My wife's sister. Remember months ago when Dave Grohl said they were on the Eras tour as a dig at Taylor Swift, not using live music? Well, my dear SIL posted that in the family chat and captioned it, another disgusting male putting down women in music, or some such. I googled the situation, found it was blown out of proportion because of Elon's shitty AI, and suggested SIL use some critical thinking skills. This pissed her off so much that she left the family chat and has been no contact ever since. Problem is, my wife and I welcomed our firstborn home a few weeks ago. Despite many attempts from us to reach out to SIL to at least talk if not mend the relationship, there's been nothing. In order to protect our peace, we disinvited SIL from the baby shower, since that's the last place where a hard conversation like that should take place. All we got was a well wishes text when the wife went into the hospital. My wife has been alternately pissed and saddened by this situation, especially with the complete lack of support through pregnancy and postpartum. On to today. We drive to my in-laws' house for dinner. We get there and learn SIL and her boyfriend had a flat tire and roadside assistance is in the way. They show up and can't do anything because the wheel nuts are stripped. So the car sits on the side of the road while FIL takes a break from cooking to pick them up, 45-minute round trip. They pull into the driveway and just sit there. FIL texts MIL to come outside. They have a very tense conversation, and we learn that SIL is refusing to come inside because my wife, our daughter, and myself are inside. Note: SIL still has not met her niece due to lack of communication. Half an hour later I decide to go out to the car and hopefully convince them to come inside so Thanksgiving dinner can actually happen. I'm basically told SIL wouldn't have come if she knew we were there. She does want to talk about anything. And there are too many layers to the situation now to talk about it at all anyway. Fuck that. I go back inside. I'm not dealing with trying to convince her otherwise. Dinner is approaching being ready around 5, and MIL wants to figure out if we want to stay for dinner or go home since the day is already shot to shit. We're down to stay, and we wait to hear what SIL and BF want to do, still in the car. BF comes inside and lets everyone know they want to leave. FIL very kindly offers to let them use his car for the night. BF doesn't know if he wants to take the car or be dropped off, so he refuses to take any food and goes back to the car to discuss with SIL. We get some food ready, then go to bring it out, only to find they left but not by car. They must have Ubered home or elsewhere. Didn't say goodbye at all, left everyone pissed off and really frustrated, and no closer to resolving the damn situation. Oh, and then we get back to our apartment and listen to our upstairs neighbors sounding like they're chasing / wrestling / fucking each other in tap shoes for 30 to 40 minutes while trying to get baby changed, fed, and put down. Can't wait for tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. Catch you in the next one.